Hello everybody, it's Tia Woodward from Stamp with Tia. I'm a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator and I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you today. So this is my regularly scheduled 1 o'clock on Monday afternoons where I get to show you something that I've been working on and get to show you how to make it, and I'm really excited to do that today. Today I'm going to be showing you the Merry Snowflakes. Before I do that, I've got some other stuff to talk to you about. We have a joining special. It's $75 for $125 worth of product. It's a pretty great deal. It's a $49 savings. That first order is free shipping. You get one free paper pumpkin. It's a pretty sweet deal. And then once you've signed up, then you get 20% off of any of your product that you purchase. So that's my little sales spiel on that. I'm excited to show you, before I show you this Merry Snowflakes, I want to show you a sneak peek of some of the product that I got that'll be available in the January through June mini catalog. So as a demonstrator, we start working on that stuff a couple of months in advance so that we have samples to actually show you when we go live, when the catalog goes live. So I'm going to turn my camera down and I'm going to show you a few of the items that I've received already. And I've even got one card that I made already. And then we'll get right into this Merry Snowflakes. I don't have a tremendous amount. I have 4 or 5 stamp sets, a couple of designer series papers, and some trims. I don't have a big box to show you. I just got enough to get started, and then I'll order more next month and I'll show you another sneak peek. So let me turn the camera down and show you a few kind of fun items. I know we're all kind of geared for Christmas right now, but it's kind of fun to think about spring too. All right, and I'm going to turn my camera like so, hopefully maintaining my orientation. You can see the card we're going to be making here, but before we get into that, here's what the new mini catalog looks like. And do you see all those tabs? Let's see, I'm going to adjust the camera just a little bit. You see all those tabs that are on there? Those are projects that I've already scoped out that I'm going to be doing demonstrations or classes on starting in January. Super exciting. All right, so let's see, how do I want to do this? I guess I'll show you the biggest suite first. So we have this Blessings of Home that has dies that go with it. It's these big stamps, and then there are dies that cut those out, and then there's some really great sentiments. This one is beautiful. It's "You are a real blessing to everyone around you," or "We can get through anything together." Have a perfect birthday. This is just really sweet. So I had this prior to the convention that we just had, and this is the card that I made from that stamp set. And I'll show you the designer series paper. This is one of the designer series papers here, and I used a blending brush to darken it. I matted everything on basic gray. This is the timber embossing folder, and then I used the blending brush on that as well. Stamped and die cut my focal point here. There's some little greenery dies that are in this set, and I used that to cut these out. And then I heat embossed my thank you on the front. And there's what I did to the inside. Pretty, huh? In the catalog, whoops, there was my cutting board. This honeybee home is featured together with this, and they show a lot of cards made with pieces from these interchanging, and this is really nice. This has got 3 different bumblebees. It's got such happy news, miss you, so glad we're family, stay wonderful, you're the nicest. And I can show you, haven't actually opened these yet. I can show you what the dies look like to go with that. And This is the red rubber, just like the Blessings of Home is. And the dies, there we go. So they cut out these silhouettes. I can see the bees here. There's a few greenery pieces. So nice, nice, nice. Looking forward to working with this, and I love anything that has bees. And speaking of bees, this collection also comes with a hive embossing folder. So you can see the honeycomb effect in there. And then with all of that is this designer series paper, which I immediately dropped. There we go. We set this out of the way. I have such a small workspace, but I'm so grateful to have it. All right. So there on one side, there are some florals or some designs, and on the other side are all white with a gray kind of board look, kind of what I used right here. And I'll show that to you. I'm going to tell you what the colors are real quick. In here we have basic gray, cinnamon cider, fresh freesia, garden green, misty moonlight, pale papaya, and white. That's funny, they don't list what the green is. Oh, yes they do, garden green, excuse me. All right, so here we go. We've got some of this greenery kind of foliage look. Here's that pale papaya and fresh freesia floral. This reminds me of like a tile. I think it's actually quite beautiful. I've seen several cards made out of this already. Here is the fresh freesia again. See some pale papaya floral in here. This piece has the bumblebees on it. Then I'm going to flip it over real quick. And these are all various forms of a wood. These are slightly different. See, this one's slightly wider than these. That looks like a piece of cut wood. Some more distressed wood. So that's the DSP for that collection. I think that's going to be really pretty, and I am looking forward to actually doing some other colors that are a little bit more beefed up and a little bit more vibrant. Then there is this Daffodil Daydream, and I have a fascination with daffodils. I actually carried tulips when I got married to John, but all of our floral bouquets on the tables and stuff were daffodils, tulips, and irises, and so super excited about this. Here are the dies. It does make some, if you're familiar with the peony dies that we had, you could kind of layer them and you could kind of fold them and stretch them, the paper a little bit, and kind of make a dimensional daffodil. This does the same thing. So, and there's just a couple here. There's an Easter Blessings and a Happy Mother's Day. So simple little set right there. I've also received In the Moment, which, let's see if I can get this a little closer here. They're just some reflective, quiet time kind of focal points here, and then the sentiments are, you're always so good to others, be good to yourself too. You're in my thoughts, and sometimes the most productive thing you can do is relax. Don't we all feel like that? I saw some beautiful demonstrations made with this during that convention that we had a couple weeks ago. One of them, what they had heat embossed, and then they'd gone in, they'd heat embossed on colored cardstock with white embossing powder, and then they went in with the white painter's colored pencil, the watercolor pencil, and they just highlighted a few of the spots within the image, and it really gave it dimension and made the whole thing pop, but actually kept it quite subtle as well. It was lovely. It was really, really lovely. Actually, somebody sent me that card, and I'm seeing if it's really, nope, it's not right on top, so I'm not going to do it. But, and this one is red rubber. And this is the last stamp set that I have to show you. It's called Amazing Silhouettes. And so this will be interesting to stamp and then I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to use this yet. I picture like maybe stamping on, like maybe this is heat emboss white or something like that on a colored cardstock, and then this shows up. I don't know. That's kind of the direction that I'm thinking at the moment. Or stamping this in the background and then layering things over the front of it. For instance, some of these pieces could look interesting layered in front of it. So more to come on this one. A couple of trims that I've received, and I meant to take the papers off ahead of time and I forgot. There we go. So this is a cotton pre-frayed ribbon, and it is so soft. And this is going to be beautiful to use. I love the feel of it. I want a blankie that feels like that. So this one again is called Frayed Ribbon, and I believe it only comes in the one color. This one is a linen ribbon, real red. Oh, and it's soft too. It's got a, oh, this is going to make a beautiful bow. I washed my hands right before we started, and my hands feel a little dry, so I'm not grabbing all that well here. There we go. Anyway, it is going to make a beautiful bow in spite of the fact that I did not create a beautiful bow just now, but it does tie nicely, although it looks like it wrinkles, so you're going to want to make sure that you, if you don't like your bow, that you don't leave it. The other couple of trims that I received, these are iridescent rhinestone basic jewels. Can you see that? They're clear, but they're iridescent. Aren't they pretty? That's going to be easy to use these. And then these, do I need to take them out of the package to show? Yes. These are brushed brass butterflies. They're real flat. I mean, they have some dimension, but they're full. Yeah, you can see them better now. Brushed brass butterflies. So those are going to be pretty amongst some of those sprigs of flowers and such. Then, last but not least, in January and February is also Sale-a-bration, and that's January 4th through February 28th. You guessed it, these tabs are projects that I've already planned to demonstrate and show off. And the only item that I have from Sale-a-bration so far is just one designer series paper. And this coincides or goes back to this stamp set. So these all work really well together. So I'm just going to show you the DSP real quick. Isn't this pretty? I love it when you can make cards really easy and just stick a sentiment on there and maybe a ribbon and a bow and be done. Those are always so nice. I'll read it to you at the end, what the colors are that are in this collection. Can you see the daffodils? So those are the fronts, or we're going to call it the A side. And then here's the B side. This is probably where it's going to be the most beneficial for me to tell you the colors. We've got Basic Black, Crushed Curry, Daffodil Delight, Evening Evergreen, Flirty Flamingo, Mint Macaron, Mossy Meadow, Pale Papaya, Pear Pizzazz, and Berry Vanilla. Very vanilla. There is a little bit of something for everybody in there. So this is sweet. And this is fun, fun, fun. Oh, these are hearts. I didn't pick up on that before. And a scatter dot, little cross marks, and there's like a little dinky flower inside of this little design. So that's all I have from Sale-a-bration. That's my sneak peek I hope you enjoyed that. And now we can get on to the matter at hand, which is to make this lovely snowflake card. So this card, I'm using the Merry Snowflakes bundle. I'm using the stamp set as well as the dies, which are the stitched snowflake dies. Aren't those beautiful? Today, I'm going to be using all of these and this piece. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've already mounted my stamps on blocks just to save us a minute. So I'm going to move that out over here. Our card base is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. The next layer is tonal. It's white on white. This is, I believe this was 1/4 inch smaller. Let me double check. Yeah. Actually, I'm going to grab my measure tool. I thought for sure I would have this memorized. Okay, oh, it's 3/8 of an inch. Excuse me, it's 3/8 of an inch smaller than the outer. So if this is 4 1/4, then this is 3 7/8. And if this is 5 1/2, then this is 5 1/8. Then the front that we're going to do this little design on, we're going to run that through the embossing machine. This is 1/8 of an inch smaller than this last white piece. So that makes this 3 3/4 by 5 inches. Then the two interior pieces, this is 4 by 5 1/4, and then we'll mat a piece of white on top of it that's 1/4 inch smaller. So that would be 3 3/4 by 5. Sorry, my brain just went blank. Okay, so that is all of our pieces. That's, excuse me, everything we're working with. We're working with white and balmy blue. So the next thing that I need to do is pull my embossing machine up here. And we need to emboss this piece, excuse me, with this cut die. And then we're also going to cut out these snowflakes. So these three we've adhered with adhesive sheet, and these two have been cut with adhesive foam sheets. So just to give it a little bit of dimension, but it's too hard to put dimensionals behind this delicate of a design. So I'm going to set everything out of the way because this cut and emboss machine is going to take up a bit of room. I've got some brand new plates, never used, or I don't think they've ever been used. They don't look like it. And actually, before I do that, I guess I need to show you how I'm placing the design on this piece of cardstock. So as you can see, it's going to take a couple or three or four passes to cover this cardstock with this design. I played around with it quite a bit, and I started off like this last night and then tried filling it in, moving it out. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it that way again. It's not a perfect fit to just pick it up and move it like this. It's close, but if you think about it, we've got all these snowflakes on here, so any gaps that we have, we're going to be able to cover up. So I'm going to use Post-it tape to hold this in place. I'm just going to go ahead and start doing that from the very beginning. Now I can bring in my cut and emboss machine. And I might have to move this back and forth a couple of times. In order to, hi everybody. Let's see, who do I have on here? Oh, I see Jean and Ivy and Jennifer and Andy. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's taken a little while to get started having a regular Facebook demonstration on a regular day and time of the week, but here I am finally getting it done. I'm going to adjust this light a little bit so that maybe you can see. There we go. And I am now going to feed this through. And so I did not need a special plate for this particular die that's just creating this decoration on this cardstock. And after the first time, this works pretty easily. Come on. There we go. It's only doing this because I'm on camera. So can you see that design? Isn't that pretty? And it, you know, a person could just have one or two stripes of it or do a couple diagonally. It would be pretty easy to do that. I am going to just shift it a little bit and re-glue it, or whoops, kind of tape it down a little bit. So I've just moved it so that these bumps kind of fit in amongst the other bumps, but I wanted to make sure not to overlap any. Now I'm curious. I want to make sure that I didn't. Nope, I didn't. I'm good. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. So stick this in here. And run this back through. And again, adjust. The preparation of the pieces is what takes the most time on this card. Now see, that's actually pretty good going out to the edge. I might not go out any farther. So then I need to find, do I need to flip this around? This is what it was like for me last night too, as I'm not even sure if I'm in camera. I'm trying to be. Here. That looks like that will work. Again, we're going to have all these snowflakes and the sentiment across the front. So if we end up with some blank spots, it's not the end of the world. Gotta say, I futzed around with this quite a bit last night trying to get it to match up like an exact puzzle. And I'm fairly convinced it doesn't. It's all about how you want to use it. Now, I was thinking this morning, I had already taken the pictures of the original card, but I thought, wouldn't this be pretty to do on a piece of vellum and layer that vellum over the colored cardstock? That would be pretty too. And then put the snowflakes on it. All right, so there's our card front. This is going to drive me crazy if I don't go all the way out to the edge over here. If you know me very well, you know these details drive me nuts. Okay, I just want to throw a little bit. Let's see. Nope. Here we go. I found it. I think I found it. Maybe I didn't. I just want something to take up that edge. There we go. So I put it all the way out at the edge, and just the very tips of some of those embossed flakes are on the edge of that paper. Yeah, that's better. long as I can pull this off without tearing my, there we go. There, now I have some design all the way out to the edge. That makes me happy. I'm going to set that to one side, put this back over on my magnet sheet, and we're going to move on to the snowflakes. So like I mentioned, some of them are going to be done with adhesive sheeting and some of them are going to be done with adhesive foam sheeting. I'm going to start with the adhesive sheets. So this is what our adhesive sheets look like when they come to you new. There's 12 of these big sheets in a pack. And none of my little pieces are going to work for this, so I'm going to start with one of the bigger ones. Set this aside for a minute. So we're starting with the adhesive sheets. I have a piece of cardstock here. This adhesive is going to go on the back. So I want to pick which snowflakes are going to be the flat. There we are. So that I don't use up any more of the adhesive sheet than I actually need to. So it looks like I could go in a row like this. This adhesive comes with these strips like this for easy peeling, and it looks like I'm going to be able to get everything in a strip, so I just need to kind of gauge my length. I could do this with the paper trimmer too, and it probably would have been cleaner. There we go. So I can set this big piece of adhesive aside, take these flakes off, and like with any sticker, you're going to just fold the corner until you get the, oops, I had it. Get the edge separated. I've almost got my fingernails back from this move that John and I have been doing. That have trashed my nails, but we are blessed with our circumstances and therefore I will not complain. And you all didn't come to see my nails anyway, you came to see a card. All right. So now we know that there is adhesive behind this section of this cardstock. I am going to move my cut and emboss machine back into view. While I'm setting this up, I just want to mention to anybody who may not know that mystery stamping on Thursday night has been changed from Zoom to a Facebook Live. And I did that to increase viewership, and it did considerably. Not everybody was comfortable with Zoom, and so I needed to make a change so I could accommodate the majority of my customers or people that are just interested. So it's still at 7 o'clock, and it is a Facebook Live on this page. Super easy to find me. I still post the clues ahead of time. So now I'm just running my snowflakes through the cut and emboss machine. And I'm actually going to do it a second time. I'm just going to flip them over. I want to make sure that I've gotten a good cut through the adhesive. It will make a difference in when I go to apply everything. And you can tell that I've now got a really good cut. I don't know that I didn't before, but the reassurance, there we go. So there's that. And I will go ahead, and the longest part of this whole demonstration is going to be me weeding the bits and pieces out of, and the good cut makes a big difference in doing that. All right, so next we are going to use the same piece of cardstock to cut our snowflakes that are on foam sheet, foam adhesive. And I've got this piece of foam, and this is just big enough, so I'm going to want to make sure that when I apply this to the back that I actually tape this in position so that I don't go off of the foam sheet. And this is actually bigger than what I need, but for the sake of ease of presentation, this is what I'm going to do. Now I am going to, because I do want to make sure that I'm aligning everything, I am just putting that up to the edge of the cardstock like such. And I am going to use this Post-it tape to hold that down. I'm just reusing the same piece that I was already using. The big one, the big one is the one I needed to make sure is in place. The little one is fine, and I can feel the edge of the foam sheet right here, so I should be good to go. Something sticky somewhere. So anyway, if you are at all interested in mystery stamping, I would love to have you join me. I kind of sort of do it the same way that I did it before. Oops, I'm shifting my whole desk. Other than the Facebook Live, I present, or I show all of the clues to you, or I explain all of the clues to you, and I do it. So you'll get to follow along with me, and you'll be able to ask questions if you have any. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with these. I'm going to flip it over and make sure we get a good cut. And just like before, if somebody participates and they want to post their card afterwards, I encourage that. And this looks like I'm going to go through one more time. One more time, and then we're going to call it good. Whatever happens, we'll deal with it as we come along. This looks like a ton of work, but it's really not. It's just a matter of being organized. Okay. I can now set the cut and emboss machine aside. I love how it folds up and is so mobile. This has been such a great purchase for me. So my tape has now said, hey, you've put me through a cut and emboss machine several times and I don't want to play now. Did I just break a nail? No. Phew. I was going to say I don't have much nail left to play with here. All right, this is the back of the die, and I can clean that later. I'm going to pull these through. Look at that. Whoops, trying to take part of that backing with it, which I don't mind technically because I'm going to be sticking it down. There we go. That one cut out nice and sweet. I'm going to set this aside. And now for the fun part. I'm going to, let's see, what do I want to do this on? Let's see, something that I can shake off easily. So I should have prepared one of these in advance, and I did not think about that. But I'm using my Take My Pick tool, and I'm not being able to see very well here. Okay, I need this out of the die. It's going to be easier from the other side. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Now I can take this stuff out. Just like such. See, this isn't too bad. I was just trying to do it the hard way. almost done with this one. This is the one that we're going to anchor our sentiment to. There. First snowflake is ready for action. I'm going to set the die over there. Pull this one out of its die. There we go. And this one had just a few to be pulled out. You know, I used the old plates last night to make this card, and I got slightly cleaner cuts. I wonder if, you know how your plates get kind of cooked? They get all embossed and they start to get raised and such. I wonder if that actually helped in this case. I thought it would be so pretty to use brand new plates today. Almost done with this one. Yep, done. All right. And these should be much easier. Getting them out of the die. There we go. Sometimes people throw these down and the die jumps out, which is one way to do it. This looks like it actually completely cleaned out when I removed the die. This one did the same. So I'll clean all those up later. Okay, there we go. And this one did the same. Oops, one little spot right here. There we go. And one more spot. All right, so now all of these snowflakes have adhesive on the back, and we can apply them like stickers, making them very easy to assemble this card. You like that? Okay, let me shake this off. Next. All right, sticky's all gone. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to use multi-purpose glue to adhere this piece to the little piece, or the matte piece that I'm putting behind it, so that it's just got the little 1/8 of an inch, just like that. And hopefully this glue plays nice. It's a brand new tube. Sometimes they get gushy and sometimes this one looks like it's going to play nice. I'm not putting too much on here. I don't want it to squeeze out through those little embossed cuts. And it doesn't need much. So I am centering this embossed piece in the middle of my white mat. And because I used the multi-purpose glue, I was able to fuss around with it until I got it exactly centered as I wanted. I see this little notch where it looks like it got cut all the way through and it's fallen out. That's okay. What I'll do is I will probably position it like this. I can do either one. And I can just move the snowflake so that it covers that up a little bit. So that'll be easy. Before this gets applied to the front of the card, we're going to go ahead and place these snowflakes. So this is the one that is going to anchor the sentiment and a bow. Just double checking before I lay it down that all backing is actually out of the way. There we are, it is, so there's nothing impeding the design. So I went right about here. That looks about the same as where I was on the other card. I like the placement of it. You could place this anywhere, but I messed around with where I wanted my sentiment at in several different places, and this is where I came up with my anchor. So that's why that one was more important to me than any of the others where they might fall. This is a good size one. I'm just going to lay these in place and make sure that I'm going to be happy when I stick them down. So something like that. And this one, something like that, to try to hide that little spot. And then once we add the sentiment here and the bow that kind of hangs down in here, this card suddenly becomes a bit filled. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this one down. And the adhesive sheet has a backer on it, and you're just going to peel it off, and suddenly you have a snowflake sticker. And I really wanted to pick the placement. There we go. I'm going to put it just about right there. I don't want the points to match up like this. I want to make sure they're off a little bit so that it looks more organic. And I could turn the snowflake a bit, but none of these are turned. And so when I was working on this one last night, I had to pick and choose where I was going to bend on my normal sense of design. Again, just pulling off that backer, and I think I was going to turn this one a little bit because I didn't want a bunch of points matching up. How awesome, right? So much easier to place things when it becomes adhesive. And try to kind of do, and I can go off a little bit because this is a smaller piece that's going to be matted on here. So it doesn't have to be precisely within the blue. One more to stick down, and then we'll start working on the sentiment. What do you think? Are you liking this? There we go. There we are. Remove all these backers to the trash can. I'm going to go ahead and score, or not score, I've already scored. I'm going to burnish my cardstock, my base, at 5.5. And sometimes when I'm burnishing on this piercing mat, I have to do it a couple extra times because this is a soft surface, but this is a textured surface, so I choose not to do it on that. Sometimes that leaves a shiny mark. We can go ahead and place this, and I'm going to use dimensionals behind this to raise it up slightly, like so. Now, we don't like any saggy middles, so you're going to see a few extra dimensionals on here. Some people say I use too many, and I say if I can afford them, I should use as many as I want. And I encourage you to do the same. If you feel good about using one in the middle of something this size, then you do it. If you're not mailing it and you don't need the stability, you go for it. You do you. but this is my preference. I am happy to say that I'm about halfway done with my personal Christmas cards. John's and my personal Christmas cards. Yep, making sure that I know where my top and bottom are. And yes, I am eyeballing it. And that looks approximately correct to me, just like that. Doot, doot, doot. Set that to one side. Going to stamp a sentiment. And I've already got them mounted over here. We're going to say Merry Everything, just like this. And then we're going to do a quick fussy cut. And this is a pretty easy, fast fussy cut. And I'm not worried, I don't like it, but I'm not worried that I've left a little halo of ink around the outside of the sentiment, because that's actually going to get cut off. Set that to one side. And I'm trying to remember if I've ever done a fussy cut on camera before, but because it's not right underneath me, because my hands are out in front of me, y'all are gonna have to be a little kind to how well I do. So how are you all doing with your Christmas cards or holiday cards, or do you send any out? Do you do something else? I'd love to hear. We send out Christmas cards. My tradition, even before John and I got together, was that the word joy must be present on the card somewhere, because that is really important to me. So I've done that for close to 40 years. Joy is my favorite word. Do you have a favorite? I would love to hear. Do you have something that your card absolutely must have? Almost done with this fussy cutting. Do you fussy cut? You know the secret? The secret is to move the paper and not the scissors. And to not expect absolute perfection. Okay, come on. Stop. So I got way too close on that G, but we're gonna go with it. I think it's still readable. Not really, is it? Darn. Will you all be patient with me while I cut another? I hope. Hope you'll be patient with me. Find myself another piece of cardstock. Break out my stamp. And it's not that I'm looking for perfection. I literally cut off the tail of the G. See? Here we go. Let's give this another shot. And I'm going to make that smaller. There we go. Let's give this another go. Now I could have easily used one of the label punches or label dies, but to be really honest, all of them that I personally have, I felt covered up too much of the snowflake, and that was where my story was in this particular card. And I didn't want to cover up the snowflake, so you are getting fussy cutting. Now this would also be pretty if you wanted to stamp and then go over it again with clear embossing powder to give it a little bit of a shine. Or even white. Let's see if I can do better with the G this time. Sometimes that tail gets in the way of what you're trimming. All right. Anything I need to fix? Oh, just a little bit, not a ton. And even this out just a little bit. I think that is good to go now. Sweet. So I use, to adhere this to the snowflake, on this end I use a glue dot, and on this end I use mini dimensionals. Just like that. So glue dot is right here. And I'm going to use a couple because there's holes in that snowflake, so I want to make sure that something is grabbing somewhere. And then my mini dimensionals are hiding from me. That's not them. Here they are in my tote bag or my tool bag off to one side. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple in here. I don't like where that one got placed. There. Now we're good and sticky. This card is actually very close to being done. We're going to stamp the inside and we're going to glue it, and we're going to add a bow and some sequins, and we're done. So I'm going to lightly set it here. Yep, I kind of like that placement right there. Pull this stuff out of the way. All right, we're going to set this out of the way for just a minute. We're going to stamp the inner card. We're going to switch gears. So the inner card here, I stamped a sentiment and I put 2 snowflakes in the corners. The snowflakes I stamped off once, so I'm going to need a little piece of scrap cardstock, and I've got that right here to do that with. Here's my sentiment. I love it. It says, "May the happiness of family, the joys of friendship, and the warmth of love surround you this season." Stampin' Up! Has some really beautiful stamps. Really beautiful sentiments. And let's get this nice and straight. Such. And the word happiness, joy, and warmth really are bigger font. See it on here, and you see it on here. Now these snowflakes, I'm going to ink up my stamp. I'm going to stamp once, and just to show you, there's my stamp off, just a much lighter stamp. So stamp. And stamp. Now the inside of our card is fully stamped. We're done using ink. I'm going to put some multi-purpose glue on the back of this piece here. Going to put it on my Balmy Blue mat, and again I was using Balmy Blue ink as well. Get it nice and centered from side to side and top to bottom. There we go. And now we will adhere that to the inside of the card. I like to add at least one layer of cardstock, if not 2 layers of cardstock, to the inside of my card because it gives weight to the back of the card. It makes the card feel more on purpose and substantial. When you've got all this weight and decoration on the front and then the back is just a flimsy, you hear that? A flimsy flap versus a, you don't want that. So I recommend adding 1 to 2 layers of cardstock to the inside of your card, unless it's a single layer front card as well. It's just good to give your card some design balance. Now I forgot to grab an envelope, but I will tell you that I would decorate an envelope as well, and I would probably just grab this same snowflake stamp or one of the bigger, there's 2 other snowflake stamps in here as well, and either stamp across your back flap or stamp on the front left corner. Right, I'm going to make a bow now. And I have this bow maker that I use, and right now I'm just grabbing it to measure out how much ribbon I want and making the cut. Then before I tie a bow, I'm actually going to cut this ribbon in half. And this ribbon cuts very easily. It's very friendly. If you've watched me cut any other ribbons, you know not all ribbons are as friendly. This one is got some body to it. The reason I'm cutting it in half is I want a double bow, but I don't want a double thick bow. I want a, because these are little dinky snowflakes, right? They're fine, detail oriented. So almost to the end. I'm going to tie these 2 layers together and have a little floofier, thinner bow. See? Didn't that turn out nice? And grabbing my bow maker that my friend Ron made for me because he's such a nice guy. I'm going to pull this around so that my tails are somewhat even though I know I'm going to trim, whoa, even though I know I'm going to trim them. Come back around. There we go. All right, sliding my ribbon tails down and through and backing up. All right, almost there. I really appreciate everybody that has shown up. Okay, my fingers are getting slippery here. Not slippery, but butterfingers. Dropping what I need to hold on to. Come on. There we go. Giving it a nice tug. Now I can pull my tails down, separate the 2 loops. Come on. Separate the 2 loops of ribbon, like such. They already separated well on the other side. And then I'm going to use a mini glue dot to adhere this here. And then I will trim. This one's a little curlier than mine was last night. That's all right. And the mini glue dots right here. And I'm just coming off to one side, like such. Thank you for sharing, Andy. Oh, I almost forgot to tell everybody the most important thing. Well, important to me. As you already know, I have an online store, and my online store over the weekend hit over 10,000 visitors. I've been watching it grow and grow, and I've been so excited to know that that many people they haven't all necessarily purchased, but they've all visited my store, and that made me really, really happy. And I think these are all close enough. Now, the last detail to add are some of these artistic, ooh, the name just went out of my head, artistic something sequins. And I love these. I love, love, love them. And they have some balmy blue in this multicolor pack. Can you see all the colors that are in here? Now, here on the original one, I used some bigger sequins. I think I'm going to use the smaller ones this time. I'm using my Take My Pick tool to pick up my sequins and place them so easily. I'm just putting them in the same place that I did last night. Oh, well, this one doesn't want to be picked up. There we go. I convinced it. There. My friends, we have made a card. Do you like it? Oh, I like the little sequins better than the big ones. I think they're more balanced. I might switch these out. Anyway, well, thank you for joining me today. And I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this inspired you to get this set, figure out different ways of using this piece of the stitched Snowflakes dies. Hope I was able to show you that how to easily apply them with the adhesive sheeting. You can also, if you don't have the adhesive sheeting or you don't want to buy the adhesive sheeting, you can, on your silicone mat, make a little pile of the multi-purpose glue, use just to cut off a piece